Hey YouTube, JP Dillon. This is going to be part 4 of the 60 Zenith repair. In the previous video we got it running. We got a pretty good usable picture after replacing all the tubes, cleaning up the tuner. But one thing remains that really irks me, and that is the filthy, disgusting safety glass. And you can see that there was moisture running down the inside, and there's dust and debris, and it's kind of gross, and it was messing with the picture. There's also this little scuff mark here, although I don't know if we'll be able to polish that out or not. I do have some polish I can use, but really, in order to clean this up, it needs to be all pulled apart and the CRT pulled out, and that's a bit of a challenge, but I think we can manage that. So I'm going to get it apart. We'll do a brief assessment of taking it apart, and then I'll take it apart and we'll see what the how easy it is to get behind the safety glass. Alright, so taking a look around in here, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot to this. Pretty much everything unplugs on these Zeniths. You've got your speaker leads back there, which disconnect from the speaker. You've got your main power switch, which goes behind there. Looks like that's the only thing hardwired in, but that just comes out with 2 1/4-inch nuts right there, or volume control or whatnot. The tuner plugs in up there, so we can just take that out. And the timer / power switch thing plugs in over here, so we can take that out. That disconnects. The yoke is about the only thing we're going to have to remove, but that's not hard. It's just 2 thumb screws here, and then it's got to get readjusted anyway, so who cares? So what I'm going to do is really just disconnect everything, unmount the chassis, slide the chassis out, and then we'll work on getting the CRT out. Alright, so here's where we're at. This was a little bit of more of a challenge than I originally anticipated. I had to take apart part of the cabinet here to allow clearances for the bottom 2 chassis lips here and here to be removed. Take some screws loose here too. And then we got the yoke and everything loose, pulled it off, disconnected everything. And so there's our chassis right there, which I'll probably, since I got it out, dust it off a little bit more. Yokes definitely shown signs of moisture here. Don't know how long that'll last, but no exposed windings yet. I think I might very carefully take a toothbrush and some anti-corrosives and very carefully brush this away and clean it up without taking care to take the enamel off the yoke windings. Zenith yokes like to short, and that might be a part of the reason why. So that's out. So it looks like the only thing left to do is to get the CRT off. I might have to remove the tuner if I can't get to that strap back there. There's a 1/4-inch nut and a strap back there I need to get to. But it looks like once we get it off, we can get the CRT out and clean underneath it. So that's what's up next. Alright, so I did have to take the tuner loose in order to get that bracket off, and unfortunately in the process of doing that, the little plastic tabs that hold the escutcheon plate on broke off, so we'll have to reaffix that somehow. 60-year-old plastic, or 50-year-old plastic, however old this is. I got the yoke bracket off and got the CRT retention bracket off, as you can see all here. So now in theory it should just be a matter of lifting it out. I'm hoping it's not terribly stuck there if I don't bust something. I definitely want to clean this up so it's not so damn dirty. And we'll lift it out and take a look behind the safety glass. Alright, so as you can see, it's out. It really did just lift right out. There's your safety glass. And I don't know if you can see it here. Let's turn on the light. It's pretty yeah, it's pretty gross. It doesn't let much light through. It's really hazy and disgusting. I can just kind of run my finger down it. Yeah, kind of gross. And over here, here's the CRT. all cleaned up, and I reattached the little fish paper thing there so that the CRT bracket doesn't abrade the glass. It's all cleaned up on the back side. I definitely need to do the front side, but that's going to be a two-handed job. So I'm really just going to, let's see if I can kind of tilt this up so you can kind of see how hazy it is. Yeah, it's hard to see, but it's just disgusting. So anyway, we're cleaning that up. We're going to clean the face of the CRT. Let me just tilt it up here so that you can see it. So it's got a lot of filth on it. It's kind of gross. You can just kind of rub your hand into the dirt. It's not coming off real easy. But just touching this thing is kind of gross. So we'll clean that up and put it back together, reattach the escutcheon plate, and hopefully the picture will have improved considering all the cleaning we've done. Should be nice and bright and sharp then. Alright, there it is, all cleaned up. It's very clear. Almost no reflection whatsoever, very nice. It's almost, you can't even tell that it's there or not, except for the reflection of the stuff on the table. Looks really good, as does our CRT that's all cleaned up. I really went to town on this one and got it all nice and pretty looking. So no more hazy picture, hopefully. And we just got to get it all back together. Shouldn't be too difficult now we know how to get it apart. So yeah, good looking from the other side too. It's nice and clean. So before I screw this up and get it dirty again, let's get everything back in. Okay, so the CRT is back in the cabinet. Let me flip it around and show you what the front looks like now that it's clean. It's definitely hella cleaner. Other than that scratch on the faceplate right there, it's just awesome. There's no gunk or anything. You can see the clear phosphor face now. I didn't have that shimmer before. So yeah, we'll just continue putting it back together. And then once it's reassembled, then we can do the final tweaks and stuff on it. Someone had suggested a 6U8 can be subbed with a 6KD8 that does look like the K, so I've got plenty of 6U8s. I think I'll just stick a stronger one in here and dial it in. Okay, for the escutcheon plate, what I've decided to do is use some speaker caulking over the broken pins, which when I mash it down into here will hold it in place. I'm also going to apply some small amounts of my Evil rubberized speaker glue. The Evil glue should hold it in place well enough. I'm going to stick the fine tuning knob and stuff in there just to be sure. And hopefully between all of that the escutcheon will stay in place and I won't have to monkey with it too much in the future, so I think we're good there. So I'm just going to put a couple dabs of glue on this thing. It looks like the points of real attachment are right at the corners. So I'll probably just stick a little dab here. This one sticks out further than the Zenith emblem does, so we'll stick it up here. There's something down here that looked like it was a support. Forgetting. See, this is why I like being able to hold the camera, because the little weird tripod thing I have, you have to constantly move it, and then I'm always bumping into it stuff. Alright, so anyway, let's get this attached here. See if it cooperates with me. And get it locked into place, and just push. Push, 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 push. The speaker caulking just gets it settled in. The glue is really going to hold it. Let's make sure we're centered up here. I don't think we're centered yet. That's better. And so I'm going to put the camera down while I reattach the fine-tuning knobs and stuff, and then we'll just let that glue set up. Alright, so while I'm waiting for that to dry, We're definitely going to show some love to this chassis because it's just kind of disgusting and filthy looking. These were the parts that we couldn't get to because they had obviously been sitting behind the CRT. I do like these hand wire chassis. They're just pretty to look at. This one doesn't have a lot of rust and corrosion on it, which is good. I've seen them in much worse condition. This one, I think, sat in a closet after it got too dim to watch. It had a brightener on it when I got it. I cooked it at 8 volts for a little bit, and the CRT woke up. If I ever need to, I can always hit it with a Beltron. Those are magical rejuvenators. I've seen them bring back stuff that was like horribly dead. Okay, so that's looking nicer. Not so much dust and crud on there. Alright, so I'm still waiting for that glue to dry. So I guess the next thing I'll do is wait a little bit longer and then pop this thing back in. I'm kind of anxious to see what it's going to look like now that the screens are all cleaned up. So going back to the problem of the crusty old yoke, I really thought about cleaning this, but this is just in such a fragile state. I mean, this glue starting to peel off. We've got obvious signs of aging and corrosion here, and I fear that if I go onto this and I start aggressively cleaning it, that it's just going to fall apart. And I really don't want that because we know it works right now. So I did very lightly dust off the area where this attaches to the neck. I cleaned some of this stuff off of here very gently. I didn't use any cloth or anything that would leave lint deposits. It was all just very fine, natural bristle brushes. It's still not great looking. It's kind of crusty. You know, it is however many years old. 62 or 63, I think. So it's old. But yeah. So we're just going to put it back in there. It's working now. Hopefully I don't screw it up getting it back on there. We got to get the chassis back in, wire everything up, and then we'll retest it and see how far off things are. So this is kind of where it gets scary, because usually this is where you can really screw it up. So I got to be really careful and on my A game putting this thing back together. And then we'll fire it back up and see what remaining stuff needs to be done. Also, on another note, you may remember that this has the little number projection thing that shoots the number into the sight glass in front of the tuner, and that the numbers are crooked. Well, I think that's because that this knob was not the correct knob, and so they got one that fit and that was close to period correct, and they moved the little projector piece there, which is that little dangling thing hanging down to the right of the knob, and it's not shooting correct, because if you were to straighten it, it would display the wrong channel number. In fact, it actually displays between two channel numbers. So that's not the original knob. It's close, but the person who serviced this realized that, and they moved the little projector light thing over so that it projected the correct number in. So, yeah, annoying, but not really a big deal. Alright, so it's all back together. I've got the 6U8 in there instead of the 6KD8. Let me make sure that my RF box is on over here. And let's see if it lives. Don't really know what's going to happen. That's a good sign.
Robert, why are you locking the door? We're married, remember?
I know, but your little monsters are only 20 feet away.
Our little monsters.
I did pretty good, actually. I don't even know if I'm going to have to center the yoke. Let's try something else here for a second. I actually nailed that leveling there. I honestly haven't even touched it yet. I haven't even tied down the things yet.
You are home alone. An emergency can become a tragedy. However, with any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, whether in the bathroom,
This thing's pretty sharp.
at home,
Help! I've fallen and I can't get out.
and on the go. Help!
Now with GPS. Wow.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
Pretty cool.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call
Let me go grab an adjustment. Maybe I'll turn down the width a little bit. It does look like there's a lot of overscan.
Saturdays
Alright.
on TV.
Let me go back here. This is our width adjustment. It's kind of hard to tell here.
Nestled deep in the jungle surrounding the southern Cardamom Mountains lies the Wildlife Alliance Release Station, the last stop for animals returning.
Yeah, that's a little better.
Wildlife
Not so much
Alliance
overscan
Director
there.
Mark shows Rob and Dr. Pete the pangolin enclosure. Pangolins are heavily poached.
Pretty cool.
Racing and release program here.
Opens up his draw and kick game, his mid-range game, as well as his rim game. He'll be
Looking decent.
Langford out. He's going to have to get into
Much better now that the glass isn't all hazed up with dirt and stuff. Pretty cool. See what else we can look at.
Warm cup of coffee and then football to cap off your afternoon and evening. All right, well, tickets to this year's Coachella.
So the 6U8 works pretty good.
Surprise, surprise, sold out. Shocker. Like yesterday at 11 in the
The thing
morning,
locks right back in.
were sold out in
Awesome.
40 minutes. I think that's just because of backlog on computer systems. Weekend 2 sold out shortly after. This year's lineup was released.
The fine tuning on this is like
There are some
really touchy. More than like an eighth of a turn and you're out. Oh, look. It's Shango's favorite. Alright, let's get off of this before we get popped. So, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I honestly didn't think it was going to be that cool of a set, but this one turned out really nice. It's got a nice bright picture. I don't even think I'm going to have to mess with the anything else here. It's a little bit off center. Oh, we got some vertical twitching. Let's see if that's a dirty socket. Yeah, doesn't like that. Maybe I'll clean that socket up a little bit more.
That was Miss Robbins. Jenny located her at the Prescott. She said Jeff was acting awfully strange when he left school. And he left at 20 minutes to.
Cool. Alright, well, I guess that's going to do it. Doesn't really need a whole lot else. I kind of tweaked the buzz control for the least amount. The focus. I don't need to center the yoke or anything. It's all pretty good looking. Yeah, this one, I guess, send it. It's done. So, this was way easier than I thought it was going to be. And I'll get some use out of this. I like these little metal tabletops. They're kind of cool. So, thanks for watching the video, guys. More stuff to come soon.